Hello everyone, this is Pico Entertainment and we're back again, and here now we have another video for you, and this will be an overall review of Peacemaker Season 1. Now there will be spoilers within this review for the show and potentially for movies within the DC Cinematic Universe, especially the two Suicide Squad movies, so just beware when going into this overall video. All 8 episodes of the Season 1 of Peacemaker are currently available on HBO Max, and the show has recently been renewed for a Season 2. Now, Peacemaker is a spin-off of the Suicide Squad movie released in 2021, which was directed by James Gunn, and James Gunn has also taken directorial duties for this series as well. Now, Peacemaker follows the story of assassin hitman Christopher Smith, who in the Suicide Squad movie was assigned to acquire data for Project Starfish at any cost. In that story, of course, he worked alongside other various supervillains and criminals for the government under the leadership of Amanda Waller. Now, following those events, after an encounter with Bloodsport, he's left in hospital heavily wounded, and that was the end credit scenes for the Suicide Squad movie. Following up from this series, after Peacemaker recovers from his injuries, he thinks he's free to live his life as he wishes, but he's surely tracked down by Amanda Waller's team Argos and is recruited into their Black Ops squad. Now, the big assignment is to investigate Project Butterfly, where they have to track down and take down alien parasites who have intentions to take over the planet. Over the course of the story, we find out about Chris's upbringing through his father, who is the leader of a white supremacist group. We see Chris's relationships with other members of the Argus team, and through their various bickerings and arguments against one another, they eventually have to work together to stop a threat that will take over the entire planet. Now, when it launched on HBO Max, the series released the first 3 episodes, for which I gave my first initial impressions, and you can check out a video of those within the channel, and I'll leave a link within the description. And having watched the entire show now, those impressions haven't really changed. I still feel the same way as what I did back then. When looking at this show, I really feel that your enjoyment of it will completely depend on your preferred taste in terms of humour and tone. If you enjoyed the same wacky, outlandish direction that James Gunn brought to the Suicide Squad movie, then you'll definitely enjoy this series. Now, the show is clearly confident enough and unashamed in reveling in all of the violence and comedy that we saw from the Suicide Squad movie. There are many overtones of racial, social and political commentary, but it's nearly all played for laughs, so it's never truly offensive, as the show never really goes for any real serious context. So there is credit for a show that clearly knows what it is and fully embraces all of its tone and insanity, and that's evident straight away from the catchy intro dance sequence, which is endlessly watchable and you can enjoy it every time that you see it before each episode. So admittedly, on some base level, the show can be somewhat watchable and entertaining. In the lead role, Cena is the best element of the show. The role of Peacemaker is perfect for him to infuse all of his natural screen charisma. By making this Peacemaker a far more flawed and much more of a numbskull personality than what we saw in the Suicide Squad movie, it actually allows Cena to make the character far more likeable and charming, and Cena does really well in what I feel is far more of an ideal direction in terms of his acting, rather than playing the typical stoic action hero. I also liked all of the supporting characters throughout this series. Danielle Brooks as Latoya Adebayo, the recent new recruit of the team, who we later on find out is actually Amanda Waller's daughter. Freddie Storma as Vigilante, who is very much loyal to Peacemaker as his best friend. Jennifer Holland, Emilia Hardcourt, is the very much more toughened agent who initially shows disdain for the team, but later on builds a much connected friendship over the time. And also to note, it's very easy on the eye to look at. Steve Aggee as John Economist, who is the tech guy of the team. For the most part is very much the comic relief, but we do get some hint of his backstory and characterization, especially in the series finale. We have Chudwuki as Clemson Man, who is the main team leader of Project Butterfly. And we also have Berg, who plays Peacemaker's father, and he is of course the leader of the white supremacist group. And within the penultimate episode of the season, he adopts his full identity as the White Dragon. So I credit very much all of the actors who play the roles very well, and like Peacemaker, they all have a certain likability and presence about them, and overall a very good chemistry, and they play off each other very well throughout the show. Now, the issues within this series are again down to your tolerance level. The show overall has that same juvenile tone as the likes of Deadpool and Kick-Ass as well, so again, if you like those type of series, you'll like this show. And for much of the show, this playful tone really stopped me from truly getting invested into the overall story. The series itself is very derivative and disposable for the most part. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, it's one of those shows that you can just have clearly in the background as you're on your laptop or playing on your phone, and you don't really feel compelled to the overall story. Now we do get times to explore certain depth within the characters. Primarily we learn about the tragic backstory involving Peacemaker and his brother, but any semblance of true emotional weight is undercut by an overall joke or a comedic sequence or a certain rock montage or an overboard violence, and it's because of these habits that the show itself really feels far less of an essential superhero anti-hero adventure and much more of a knockabout comedy. So if you are far less of a fan of this particular tone from James Gunn, then you'll probably find the show either very indifferent or probably very frustrating and less compelling to watch. So whilst I don't hate the show, I definitely don't look at this as a must-see elite piece of television or indeed a truly elite level in the genre of superhero entertainment. It really is just more of a live-action, outlandish cartoon in many ways that catches your attention from time to time, but never ends up being anything more than that. So just quickly, just to comment on the finale episode, and really this was an installment that was very much of an encapsulation of the entire series itself. We had lots of good intense action sequences, which like the whole show itself were very well put together, lots of good choreography. But the tone again was very flippant all the way through as we delve into the overall origins of the alien species, the butterflies. And whilst we had some initial tension when the team is taking on all comers, there are just too many silly moments that take away a lot of the credibility of the show, and I really think that's something that plays out throughout the entire series. Now, just to note, on the penultimate scenes of the finale episode, we do get a cameo from the Justice League when the likes of Superman, Aquaman, The Flash and Wonder Woman all appear seemingly too late in order to help Peacemaker and his team. We get certain jokes and banter regarding Aquaman and Fish and what he does to them in many ways, and I've seen a lot of Twitter outrage, primarily from the Snyder Cut fans, of how the Justice League were represented within this climatic episode. The fact that for the most part, minus Jason Momoa's Aquaman and Ezra Miller's Flash, the looks of Superman and Wonder Woman were very much shown in much more shadows. So there's been certain outrage over how they were shown and the absence of the likes of Batman and Cyborg. Now, to be honest, from my point of view, as you all know if you watch my channel, I've never been a fan of the Snyderverse, and especially in this episode here, when the moment does arrive, it just looks cheap overall, and I didn't really take it too seriously because as per the show itself, it was played far more for a joke overall, so I wouldn't really get too upset into how this showed the Justice League because it's not going to have too much meaning in terms of the overall DC cinematic universe. So if I had to give a score for Peacemaker overall, I would give it a 5.8 out of 10. In terms of the current hierarchy of superhero shows, I would probably put it above the likes of Batwoman, Titans and Naomi, but I definitely would have put it anywhere near the likes of Superman and Lois or Supergirl or The Boys. So I would say it's mildly entertaining, derivative, superhero action, but definitely not an essential piece of television overall. So those are my overall thoughts and feelings and review of Peacemaker Season 1. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Did you enjoy it? Did you think it was indeed one of the best DC television shows around? Or were you like me and you weren't particularly favoured to the several outlandish tone and comedy shown throughout the entire series? Let me know what you think in the comments below. If there are any other superhero series that you'd like to see me review on the channel, let me know within the comments and I'll see if I can provide some commentary on those shows as well. Please also hit and like those subscription and notification buttons so I can provide you with more high quality content like this in the future. But that's it for now. Take care of yourselves, stay safe distances, and I will see you very, very soon.